And so I just want to let everyone know that we've been working very diligently the last several months to implement the Board of Supervisors approved Election Day and Emergency Voting Plan. But in the last several weeks, there have been some issues with us being able to identify enough supplies, whether those be cleaning supplies, and then we also had some polling locations fall out over the last few weeks. So last night with the board, we made the board made a decisive action to approve a plan and give me the direction to be able to reduce the number of voting locations that we would then be able to provide those voters and those voting locations with the supplies they need, those cleaning supplies, those sanitation supplies that we can then disinfect those high-touch surfaces in those polling locations. So those voters, if they wanted to vote in person, they'd be able to have that polling location be available to them, and then our poll workers would be able to make sure that all those high-touch surfaces were cleaned.
After decades of treating housing as a financial asset rather than a human right, the U.S. could face the devastating real-life consequences of mass evictions and homelessness.
Army patrols hit the streets of Sydney on Monday to help enforce coronavirus curbs as Australia struggles to stop the Delta variant from spreading. Around 300 unarmed military personnel have been tasked with going door to door, checking that people who have tested positive are isolating at home. They're also accompanying police officers on the hunt for rule breakers, combing neighborhoods that have emerged as hotspots as the country's largest city enters its 6th week of lockdown.
I often hear people say, yeah, I'm required to wear a mask, but what's the harm? It's a small price to pay. But is it a small price? Is there an effect on people and the society that we live in? Jeffrey Anderson, maybe more than anyone in recent months, has thought deeply about that question. He just wrote a brand new piece in the Claremont Review of Books called The Masking of America, which we strongly recommend. We probably should just read it on the air. But instead, we're going to have him join us right now. Jeffrey Anderson was the director of the Bureau of Justice Statistics at DOJ, and he joins us. Jeffrey Anderson, thanks so much for coming on. So you hear that all the time. I heard it this afternoon from an old friend of mine. You know, it's a small price to pay. I'm willing to do my part. Why?
The state of New South Wales, home to Sydney, reported 207 new cases in the past 24 hours. That follows a 16-month high recorded late last week. Meanwhile, a lockdown in Australia's 3rd biggest city, Brisbane, has been extended. Due to end on Tuesday, it will now stay in place until the end of Sunday. Throughout the global health crisis, Australia has managed to keep its cases relatively low, but its vaccination drive has lagged many other developed countries.
So what this plan does is that we had 229 polling locations available prior to the plan, and then after the board's vote, I went and performed an analysis to make sure that all those voters had 151 vote anywhere vote centers. This now, we're taking this from those voters had 41 voting locations before these 151. Now they have 151 vote locations that they can choose from. And then with that, we're also going to be providing
cannibal! What are you gonna hike it?
Pause before we agree to this.
I think it's a huge price to pay, Tucker, for society as a whole. Masks are uncomfortable, they're unhygienic. They profoundly compromise human interaction, human communication, human sociability, and human understanding.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison has come under fire for his handling of the pandemic. He's promised that lockdowns will ease once the country vaccinates 70% of eligible citizens, which should happen, he said, by the end of the year. Only around 20% have been inoculated so far.
और नाज़रीन ये वो लोग हैं जिनको डर ये है कि मर जाएंगे। नहीं 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 नहीं, ये वो लोग हैं, ये वो लाइन है जो घर से निकलते नहीं है लेकिन सिम बंद ना हो जाए उसके चक्कर में ये पेट्रोल भी ज़ाया कर रहे हैं अपना, टाइम भी माशाल्लाह से दे रहे और लाइन में लगे हुए भी हैं।
Human being is a unique individual, and the way we can tell that is largely, the way we identify someone is largely by his or her face. A country that forgets the importance of the face is probably also going to forget the importance of certain unalienable rights. When we walk around looking like faceless stormtroopers, it doesn't exactly inspire a lot of confidence that we're fit to be free, self-governing citizens in a republic.
Evictions are expected to spike across the country as the CDC's federal eviction moratorium ended this weekend.
Options and the ability to, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, first, I want to remind the public.
Private businesses, I am asking them and suggesting to them go to vaccine-only admission. Go to vaccine-only admission.
The importance of the human face reminds us of the importance of the human individual. We're not all the same. That's why we don't wear uniforms. So do you think their insistence that we cover our faces, that everyone look exactly alike, reveals how they feel about us?
I think it certainly suggests that to some degree, and our willingness to go along with it says something about how we view ourselves in relation to them.
आप इनका डिसिप्लिन चेक करें, सिर्फ और सिर्फ सिम बंद ना हो जाए। माशाल्लाह, ऐसी कौम आपको पूरी दुनिया में कहीं नहीं मिलेगी। जान के डर से कोई नहीं निकला, सिम के डर से सब निकले हैं, बंद ना हो जाए। ये देखें आप, लाइन चेक करें, बस आप, चलती रहेगी लाइन।
That the ever-changing world that we are living in is creating some stress for all of us, but we want to just make the voter assured that we are going full speed on having a great election as we are tasked to do.
Ja, maar het is niet weggegooid, hè?
Niet.
Oh, ik heb het op beeld. Ik heb het op beeld. Zalig. Ik heb het op beeld.
Olé, visjes, veel plezier.
Kindern in diesem Land, für die wir als Gesellschaft alle miteinander verantwortlich sind, möchte ich sagen, was unsere Bundesregierung und unsere Kanzlerin bisher nicht wagen zu sagen. Wir bitten euch um Verzeihung. Wir bitten euch um Verzeihung für 1,5 Jahre einer Politik, die euch zu Opfern gemacht hat. Zu Opfern von Gewalt, Vernachlässigung, Isolation und seelischer Einsamkeit. Für eine Politik und eine mediale Berichterstattung, die euch bis heute wie Gift das Gefühl einflößt, ihr wäret eine tödliche Gefahr für unsere Gesellschaft. Das seid ihr nicht. Lasst euch das nicht einreden.
We've had way too much government by public health official in recent months, or by executives who act like they're kings or emperors, rather than by representative legislatures who are supposed to be the ones representing us on these questions.
So this, I mean, it does seem, and I don't want to overstate anything or make anyone more fearful or more paranoid, but it does seem like democracy, to some extent, our understanding of our relationship to the state is at stake here.
What did you need to know? What did you need to know? He works at Bandara. We are on our way. What is the reason why you need to know? I told him that. Bandara, it's at Muraree. Would you like to ring them? And
I'm not confident that you're going to comply with our directions, all right?
oh, thank you, thank you.
Entry to the Botanic Gardens, and then we'll go from there, okay? Do you understand everything that's going on?
Well, I'm coming.
Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely disgraceful.